Peter's remarks, a spokesperson for Disney told ET in a statement, quote, "To avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film, we are taking a different approach with these 7 characters and have been consulting with members of the dwarfism community. We look forward to sharing more as the film heads into production after a lengthy development period."
If you tell the story of Snow White, most that cool, aggressive spin on it, let's do it. All in.
Snow White fans, if you were looking forward to the new live-action Snow White and don't know the whole story, you can thank Peter Dinklage for this. He felt threatened by anybody his height getting a dwarf role because people might realize that he is over.
Originally, the Snow White movies, that film had a trailer so awful that Disney had to completely recut the movie. It showed that the dwarves were not, in fact, dwarves in Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, because that would be offensive apparently to little people. So,
what happens when Disney decides to turn a beloved classic upside down? Brace yourself for a storm, because Peter Dinklage's fiery criticism of the new Snow White has set the internet on fire. In this video, we're diving deep into the explosive controversy surrounding Disney's radical transformation of Snow White for 2025. This is where tradition clashes with innovation, and opinions are more divided than ever. We'll break down Dinklage's scathing remarks and the massive backlash surrounding Rachel Zegler's casting as a bold new Snow White. Has Disney gone too far? Is this a fresh creative take or outright cultural sabotage? If you're drawn to the front lines of entertainment upheaval and pop culture debates, you're in the right place and heated discussions on Hollywood's latest controversies. Now, let's get into it. Enter Rachel Zegler, stepping into the iconic role of Snow White. But here's the twist. She's not your typical fairy tale princess. She's not waiting to be saved. She's out to lead. Zegler made it clear that this Snow White isn't about romance or finding her prince. Instead, she's focused on chasing her destiny and proving she doesn't need anyone to rescue her. But is this bold reinvention exactly what the story needed, or a massive myth?
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and a very there's a big focus on her love story with the guy who literally stalks her. Yeah, weird. So we didn't do that this time. Her own agency and rule a kingdom, and she meets so many incredible people along the way. And maybe she finds love, maybe she finds friendship, but really what's important is that she...
Pretty cool, right? Well, not everyone thinks so. Some fans are saying, hold up, that's not the Snow White we remember. Now, let's talk about the casting. This is where things really heat up. Rachel Zegler, a talented Latina actress, is stepping into the role of Snow White. On one hand, it's great to see Hollywood embracing diversity. But on the other, some fans are scratching their heads, asking, wait a minute, since when did Snow White have a Latina background? It's the age-old debate, tradition versus diversity. Some are celebrating the inclusivity, while others argue that this reinvention strays too far from the classic European fairy tale we all grew up with. And just when you thought the debate couldn't get any hotter, enter Peter...
Taken back by they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling or
Still Snow White, yeah.
Sure. Take a step back. Okay, so it's like the progressive one. Just take that story of that course. Living in a cave, what are you doing? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not proud. It's so studio that but they were so proud, and all love and respect for the actions. People were thought they were doing the right thing.
Powerhouse Game of Thrones actor Peter Dinklage didn't hold back, folks. He went all in on Disney's approach to the dwarves in the Snow White remake. While he's all for progress, he questioned, what about the dwarves? According to him, the story is still stuck in the past, even if Snow White's look has changed. His criticism was loud enough that Disney scrapped the idea of casting real actors for the dwarves and went full CGI instead. And just like that, another controversy was born. Fans are now arguing that this was a missed opportunity, a golden chance for dwarf actors to shine. Instead of improving representation, Dinklage's push for change may have backfired, leaving many wondering, was this really the right move, or did it just create a bigger problem? Now, let's talk about those dwarves, or should we say, the lack of them. After Dinklage's comments, the filmmakers made the call to replace real actors with CGI characters. And let's just say, not everyone's happy about it. Many fans are frustrated, calling it a massive mistake that only made things worse.
Initial, official glimpse of Disney's forthcoming live-action adaptation of Snow White. In this sneak peek, we see the dwarves, who have undergone a creative transformation through the application of computer animation. Disney presented this first image, along with the announcement of a slight delay, pushing the release date to March 21st, 2025. Furthermore, we're introduced to our first official look at Rachel Zegler in the role of the titular princess. Joining her are the beloved dwarf characters, Bashful, Doc, Dopey, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, and Sneezy. Upon closer inspection, some might notice a touch of the uncanny valley effect in the dwarves' appearances. It's evident that deliberate efforts have been made to capture the animated charm of the original 1937 characters. Rumors have swirled the internet about Disney potentially casting non-dwarf actors to portray the iconic dwarf characters, but it now seems that these speculations were not true. Has Disney backtracked on their original?
Disney had a golden opportunity to cast real dwarf actors, bringing authenticity and fresh talent to the screen. Instead, they went high-tech, opting for CGI characters, and now fans are wondering, did we just lose a bit of that real-life magic that live actors bring to a story? And let's be clear, fans are not holding back on this one. The reactions are all over the place. On one side, critics are slamming the film as a woke flop, arguing that all these changes stray too far from the Snow White they know and love. On the other side, supporters are cheering Disney on for taking a bold, modern approach, saying it's about time these classic stories were reimagined for today's world. It's a full-blown clash of tradition versus progress, and the internet is buzzing with heated debates. But this Snow White remake isn't just another movie update, it's become a battleground for how we retell our favorite stories in the modern age. Some argue that evolving these tales to reflect today's values is necessary, while others insist, why fix what isn't broken? The debate isn't just about one film, it's about the bigger picture, how we balance beloved traditions, with the push for greater inclusivity and diversity in Hollywood. Now, let's get back to the specifics. This CGI decision? Oh boy, it's sparked major backlash. Critics and fans alike are pointing out that instead of using cutting-edge tech, Disney could have given real dwarf actors a chance to shine, launching careers, and bringing true representation to the screen. This isn't just about visuals, it's about who gets opportunities in Hollywood. And right now, a lot of people feel like Disney dropped the ball.
I like learning about the Snow White movie and realizing that Peter Dinklage took roles away from hardworking actors who have dwarfism so that he can pretend that he helped others by bitching. And then another person said, hey Snow White fans, if you were looking forward to the new live-action Snow White and don't know the whole story, you can thank Peter Dinklage for this. He felt threatened by anybody his height getting a dwarf role because people might realize that he is overrated. So obviously, I had to look into this. I did a little Google searching, and I found this article from 2022. Peter Dinklage says the seven dwarfs are an insult, but the reality is more complex. So the article says, during a conversation regarding Disney's upcoming live-action remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Dinklage praised Disney for casting a Latina actress as Snow White, but condemned them for continuing to present what he believed were outdated stereotypes. Now, this interview happened in January of 2022. It was published in February, but this happened in January.
Storytelling has always been Disney's strength, but right now, they're hitting a rough patch. Boycott calls are heating up, and some viewers are fired up over the changes to the casting and storyline. They're not just complaining online, they're actively pushing for audiences to skip this film entirely. This isn't just about disliking a trailer, it's a financial protest. Fans are saying, not with my money. So what does this mean for Disney? Well, it's tricky. This isn't just a minor